warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, we have topic about this household reduce subsidy to tertiary education and related the money to primary education in developing countries. Okay, I will introducing the debaters first. From the government, we have Andika Mellya, and from the opposition, we have Amalia Yenoris Isabina. The arguments will be delivered by government first and then continue by opposition. So let's begin the debate from here. For the government and opposition, then time is yours. As we know, in developing countries such as Indonesia, primary education is basic thing that every child needs to follow. However, in reality, there are still many children out there who still to get not primary education because of extensive economic limitation. So, government subsidy funds are needed to help with the primary education.
Okay, my preference is unmute yourself and interrupt me anytime through the chat box. Okay, we know that university costs are high, and there is also one reason why some people decide not to continue their schooling after high school. But we know that college students can bring innovation to this nation, right? So it proves that tertiary education is more important.
Permission to refute. However, as that by government, primary education is expected to be developed the attitudes, knowledge, and basic skills that need to process all cities to be able to live properly in society and for continue their school education or outside of education. Therefore, education is basic is designed to be compulsory to study, meaning it provides an opportunity to learn as widely as possible to the school age group to follow education. And I think primary education is more important to take priority.
Well, I would have said with the obligation that the basic education should not be a subsidized education because we also know how many people in Indonesia are and that it will also have a cost if education subsidies were focused on primary education. The reason why I come to this issue has been ranged in 3 points. The first point is because college fees tend to be high, as I have explained earlier, that the costs for college are not the same as in elementary, middle school, or high school because at the college we not only learn something from the surface, but we also learn the reason why it was created. This makes further education or college even more weighty.
However, what I know in developing countries, such as Indonesia, is primary education school is priority. And now the government is doing the compulsory education for 9 years. Since the program was rolled out compulsory study in educational units organized by the government, the cost of the government is the responsibility of the government. So students should not be subject to obligation of the cost. I think primary education is more need of subsidy for funding from the government because the program is compulsory learning program.
Well, I'll answer this in my second point, which is to be a college student, we have to go through a series of tests that indicates that not everyone becomes a college student, right? We must truly demonstrate that we are worthy to bear the title of college student. As for primary education, everyone can do it, everyone can take it easy over. Moreover, there are schools that don't take tests of freshmen.
Permission to refute because everyone can enter primary education, but does not mean everyone can bear the cost of education. The cost of education borne by the parents of the student is contained the contribution of educational implement or SPP of elementary school. Although there is now the removal of SPP, but the elimination of SPP doesn't automatically mean the elimination of all form of service from the community because so far there is still a free levy for the construction of school or what is usually called building money. And that's not all parents can afford. There are still many out there who are expressing economic difficulties. So in my opinion, elementary school education is better priority first for the cost the education subsidy than the cost the tertiary education.
Well, to answer that, in Indonesia, no focusing help on college student doesn't mean we forget student at the basic level. There's a study line right now, KIP or Kartu Indonesia Pintar, doing in primary school like elementary, junior high school, and senior high school. It proves that governments are also concerned about the education out there, and that is still limited to access and facilities. But being a college student is not an easy matter, and a great deal of duty or things that require like practicing, a boarding fee, and etc. This is one of the reasons why Indonesia's fund focus on advanced education for college students rather than primary education.
However, I said earlier, primary education in a developing country like Indonesia is very important. For example, on the other hand, we can cite it, for example, other many parents are unable to provide primary education because of economic limitation. So, the number of children in Indonesia who have primary education will be less, so they also cannot continue their education to higher level as well.
When it comes to unemployment, everyone must also have a load, and however, some data have proved that college students are the largest contributors in Indonesia. And it proves from founder of Ruang Guru, Belva Devara, who has helping many students in understanding their daily lessons, start from primary education till the advanced education. And you also know Andika Mahardika, a founder of Agradaya, who established cooperation with village farmers in developing the agricultural value of Indonesia.
However, wouldn't it be nice if the other called as the own parents of students who have economic constraints by scheduling and subsidy, and the community of education to subsidy from the government are required. The subsidy certainly means a lot, especially for underprivileged students and school, of course. Country of the implementation of education, so to demand the managers to really manage the distribution of funds well, so that what is expend the in search of subsidy program for primary education can be achieved well as well. And this has become a government program to advance education in Indonesia. It has also been contained in the Constitution of Republic Indonesia 1945 or UUD 1945 Amendment 2001 Article 31 Paragraph 1 and 2 continued with the issue of police 9-year primary education contained in Law Number 20 2002 on the National Education System Article 11 Paragraph 1 states the government and local government are obligated to provide service and facilities and ensure the implementation of quality education of every citizen of country without discrimination.
Okay, let me tell you about the conclusion. So from these lengthy arguments, the conclusion might be that all education is great, important to the successor of this nation. But the important thing is, in developing countries like Indonesia, primary school education is more important. Why? This is because elementary school education is a beginning in the development basic attitudes, knowledge, and skills, and it is required of all citizens, such as make a decent living in a community, in building character, skill, attitudes, and knowledge. And it also necessary to pursue higher education. Because primary school doesn't spend much cost, it doesn't mean that all of Indonesia is capable of providing primary education for the children. Therefore, there's a dire need for government to provide subsidies to help with primary school. Okay, maybe that's all from me. Thank you for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.